Hello, welcome to Pirkei Avos. We're in chapter 6 and Brisa number 6. We're in the middle of counting the 48 things that are required, that a person needs to acquire Torah. So far, this is part 2. Part 1, we did the first 23. Now, let's try to finish up. Okay, number 24. Hamaker es mokomo, literally someone who recognizes his place. And again, we're sharing the explanation of my Rabbi Rav Aaron Feldman. Every year between Passover and Shavuos, he would share these explanations with us after the evening services, and a friend of mine, Rabbi Pirkei, wrote them up. Okay, so recognizing his place. A person has to know where he's holding and learning, his level of Torah study, so that way he can recognize when someone's greater than him, and he could learn from him. A person shouldn't think that he's already super successful and super experienced in his Torah learning, and that he deserves to sit with all the big rabbis right away. He has to know where he's holding. Okay. Next, number 25. V'hasamech bechalko. A person has to be happy with what level he's at. We shouldn't say, X knows so much more than me. On the contrary, we should look at ourselves and say, wow, look how much I've accomplished. Now, that doesn't take away the desire to grow. A person should still want to grow in his learning, but he should look and say, I'm samech bechalko, I'm very happy with what I've accomplished. Obviously, we all could have accomplished more, we could all work harder, but when a person takes a second to think about how much he actually knows and how much he's learned over his life, it's a very empowering thing, whatever level he's at. Number 26, ha'oseh siag lidvarav, he should make a fence for his words. Means, making a fence for your words, sometimes you'll be debating a Talmudic concept. You should bring a proof to what you're saying. You shouldn't just say it based on your authority that, I'm such a smart person, so my logical svara, what I'm saying must be correct. Bring a proof to what you're saying, because maybe what you're saying is not correct. 27. Eino machzik tova la'atzmo. He does not attribute goodness to himself. He shouldn't think that I'm so important and everyone should praise me because I'm being successful in my Torah studies. A person was created to study Torah, so he's just doing what he is supposed to do. And Hashem gave a person a mind, gave him the ability to study Torah. He shouldn't give himself all of the credit. Ohuf. 28. A person should be loved. Other people should love him. Now, how does that happen? When a person focuses on others, other people will love him. Number 29. Oheves hamakom. He should love Hashem. He shouldn't just think of himself. He should love others, and he should love Hashem. Oheves habrios. This is loving other people. A person has to be other-centered to be successful in Torah. A person cannot be self-centered. So 2 ways of being other-centered is being centered on Hashem and being centered on other humans. Number 31. Ohevet tzedakos, hatzidkus. He should love righteousness. And he should love charity. Here I think it means charity. Tzedakos, it means charity here. He should help those that are less fortunate than him. Again, that's other-centeredness. Because one of the things that we said is that to be successful in Torah study, one needs humility. Humility, a person who's humble, he's other-centered. So being other-centered means part of it is helping others, giving people charity. Tzedakah. Number 32. Oheves hatochachos. He should love rebuke. He should love when people criticize him. Right? We should always, when we're criticizing people, we should do it in a pleasant way to help them grow. It shouldn't be in a tough way. We have to be very careful how we do it. But when a person criticizes you, you should love it. While he's telling me what areas I need to improve in. That's so important because my goal in life is to improve in my service of Hashem. So somebody is helping me with that. That's fantastic. Usually people get very offended when people correct them. Oheves misharim. He should love uprightness and those that are upright. If he sees injustice in the world, he should try to fix it. Number 34, Misrachik min hakavod. He should distance himself from honor. Again, the idea of humility. The purpose of life is not to get honor. Honor is something which is fleeting. It lasts for a moment, then it goes away. It's totally worthless, honor. And Maharsha Shivas says here from Rav Chaim Volozhner that, well, first of all, it's very famous that if somebody would be as humble as Moshe Rabbeinu, as Moses, he would know as much Torah as Moshe. Gaiva, haughtiness, is something which prevents Torah from entering a person. Because again, Torah is not just an intellectual wisdom. but rather it's a spiritual wisdom. So if a person is haughty, the Torah won't enter him. So a person has to distance himself from honor. Number 35, lo megis libo betalmudo. He shouldn't be haughty about what he's accomplished in his learning. Number 36, eno samech behora. He shouldn't be happy when he has to paskin a shaila, when he has to decide issues of Jewish law, even though you're getting great honor. People are asking you questions. They hold that you know something. You should feel a person feels, oh wow, it's honor. But a person should be scared because maybe he'll make a mistake and he'll misguide people. So there should be a certain trepidation when you're teaching Torah, specifically deciding issues of Jewish law. Number 37, no se ba'ol im chavero. He should carry the burden of his friend. If he sees that his friend is going through a tough time, he should feel it. And again, this is the idea because he is not focused on himself. He pains him when others suffer. 38. Machriya lekavschus. You should judge others favorably. Yeah, it's very interesting when we do something wrong, we always judge ourselves favorably. Say, oh yeah, I didn't really mean it. I was tired that day. We think of a million excuses of why something happens, but when other people do something wrong, we always look at it negatively. Oh, that guy's such a bad guy. We don't know the reasons. What we should do is we should be tougher on ourselves, and we should be more forgiving when it comes to others. Judge people favorably, right? If you're not sure if he did a sin, or you're not sure if he did something wrong, assume that he didn't. And even if he did something wrong, there's probably a good reason why he did it. Whatever it was, or if there wasn't a good reason, maybe he repented right away. We have to look at other people favorably. 39, Mamido ala emes. We want to establish things on the truth. We should live our lives based on what the truth is. Right? Some people, they just do what's easier for them. They don't care what's true. Whatever's easier, that's what they do. No, we should find out what the truth is. The truth in itself is a value, and even if it's not so easy, we should live our lives based on truthfulness. Ma'amidu al sholem. We should go after peace, because we talked about this a few weeks ago in Parshas Korach, how machlokas, fighting, is a horrible thing, and peace only comes about when there is blessing. Blessing only comes about when there is peace. We should run away from fights like we run away from a fire. Misyashev libo betalmudo. Number 41. We should think about what we learn. Take time to think about what we learn. Earlier we spoke about a person not being distracted. We said yishuv. So my Rebbe here says b'yishuv. That was one of the 48 things we talked about. That's before we learn. Before a person learns, he should clear his mind of all distractions. But when he's actually learning, also, that was talking about before. Now, Misyashiv Levi B'Talmud is when he's actually learning, he should do his best to not get distracted by other things, and he should sit and really ponder what he learns. He shouldn't just do it quickly, but think about it. Sit and think about it. Take time with a calmness and an open-mindedness to absorb everything that he learned and to think it over. Think about if there are any practical ramifications of what he's learning. Go over it in his head. Things like that. Shoel Meshiv, to ask and answer questions. Number 42, to be successful in Torah study, a person has to ask a lot of questions in order to understand it. Just don't accept everything that you learn, but try to understand it. Ask questions. Try to get to the bottom of it. Right? Other religions are not like this. There's certain other religions that if you ask questions, they don't like that very much, and you could be condemned to the fires of hell. But in Judaism, on the contrary, we encourage people to ask questions. And if someone doesn't know, they'll send you to someone who does know. Number 43, Shomeo Mosif, you should listen and add. This means you should listen to things that your Rebbe says, and you should add on to it. Ask him questions, and try to answer the questions that he asks. To have a back and forth with your rabbi, it's very important. Number 44, Halomid Almanas Lalamid, a person has to study in order to teach. A fundamental aspect of Torah study is to teach others. Whatever you learn, you're required to teach others. A person shouldn't just be, again, self-centered and to just want to learn for himself. An integral part of Torah study is teaching also. It's not just study. We don't just study an intellectual thing for our own pleasure, but rather we're learning in order to teach others. Number 45, not only learning in order to teach others, but also learning to do. We learn something in the Torah. It's not just a hypothetical thing. Whatever we learn, we want to carry out. Number 46, Hamachkim es rabo. To make his Rebbe wiser. How do you do that? By, again, like we mentioned earlier, similar to what we said before, by asking your Rebbe questions. First of all, by having a Rebbe sitting by a Torah teacher to ask him questions and to discuss with him the topic being learned and to really get to the depth of it. This is not just a relationship with a Rebbe shouldn't be like a relationship with a college professor where you just sit in the lecture and you don't have any relationship with him outside of the lecture, and some of them will even discourage questions. On the contrary, learning with the Rebbe, questions should be asked. There's a relationship with the Rebbe on a personal level. That's very important. We see many of these 48 things are about establishing a relationship with the Torah teacher, because that is fundamental to studying Torah. We don't just study Torah from books. We have to study Torah from a Torah teacher, and there's many reasons for that, but one reason is because we have to, first of all, we discuss it, and also we see the things that he isn't teaching, just the way he acts, the way a Torah teacher acts, teaches us quite a bit. Hamachavin es shmuaso, again, it's a similar thing, number 47, to ponder what we learned. We have to, through those insights that we have in our learning, and the questions that we ask a rabbi, we have to go over it and to really, really think about it to get it well. And the last thing, number 48, ha'omer davar b'shem omro. A person has to say something that he learned before, in the name of who he learned it from. If you heard a unique Torah idea from somebody, from your friend, you have to say, "Oh, Shlomo told me this Torah idea." You can't take credit for it. You can't get the honor of taking credit for it. And the Mishnah says, Halamadata, this teaches us, Shekol ha'omer davar b'shem omro mevi ge'ula la'olam. Whoever says a Torah idea in the name of this person who said it, he brings redemption to the world. Shenemar, as it says, Vatomer Esther lemelech b'shem Mordechai. Esther told something to the king in the name of Mordechai. She didn't say it herself, but Mordechai said it. And the Mishnah is saying because of that, the Jewish people merited to have salvation and not be destroyed by Haman. Because when a person says something in the name of someone who actually said it, he's giving credit where credit is due, and he's not stealing the credit. That's why you find in the Gemara many times you'll have like 5 rabbis that said this rabbi said in the name of this rabbi, said it in the name of this rabbi. They're trying to attribute the teaching. They want to say everyone who said it, to not take credit that doesn't belong to them. Someone told me they were at a funeral of a college professor, a certain college professor, and the big praise that they gave him at his funeral was that he never stole work that wasn't his. Like, that was very unique in his profession, that the professor didn't steal something that didn't belong to him. But many professors did. But in Torah, a person has to be very, very careful. It's a very important value to never take credit for something that you didn't say yourself. Okay, and with that we finish. These are the 48 ways of acquiring Torah. During the time, the 49 days between Pesach and Shavuos, people in certain yeshivas, they would work on one of these things each day and try to work on one of these 48 things. On the last day, they would review them all. But it doesn't have to be between Passover and Shavuos to work on Torah learning. We could do this anytime. But because again, Torah is not just an intellectual exercise. To acquire Torah, it's a spiritual thing. It's the knowledge of Hashem. It's the will of Hashem. So to get it, we also have to have, in addition to the many of the 48 things that were how to learn it properly, there were also many things about how to have good character traits and how to be humble and how to limit our physical pleasures in this world. And we need all those things to truly acquire Torah. And with that, I wish everyone a great day.